Now, we will start with a few set of questions. Number one is, when you succeed, do you feel like you fooled everyone again? You can write your answers in the chat box. Yes, no, maybe. Second one is, okay, I see a lot of no's, yes. It's a mix. Great. Now, do you believe if I can do it, anyone can? Do you think that you have that optimistic mindset? Or let's say the other way around. If I can do it, anyone can. Like you put yourself into that shell. मैंने कर लिया तो कोई भी कर सकता है. It's that easy. Okay, thank you so much for participating. I see a lot of responses. I'm reading each one of them. Okay, great. Punya is saying depends. Yeah, depends on the situation as well. The last question is, do you ever worry that it's just a matter of time before you are found out? Like as if you're a fraud. Abhi jo kiya kaam, something that is based on your strength, you feel this is so easy, like anyone can do this. Okay.
Could you once show the second slide?
Sorry?
Could you once show the second slide?
Yeah, I'll be showing each slide. It's going in an order. Don't worry. I'll cover each slide and we'll cover each pointer. Okay, thank you so much for responding. We have a few contents. Now, this is the second slide for whoever asked. So first, we will be learning about imposter syndrome. Second, what are the signs, symptoms, types. Third, who, how, and why gets affected by imposter syndrome. Then we have a case study, actually few case examples to make you understand better. And lastly, and the most important one is coping with imposter syndrome. So this workshop is more of a psychoeducational workshop. If you have anything to contribute, I would love that. Like if you have any knowledge, I would love that in the chat box. And now let's begin with understanding what imposter syndrome is. So anyone who knows what it is, they can put it in the chat box. Imposter syndrome, first of all, let's read the definition, can be loosely defined as doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. Now in this workshop, I'll be using this term fraud very frequently. So this only means that imposter syndrome involves unfounded feelings of self-doubt and incompetence. कि मैं जो कर रहा हूँ या मैं जो कर रही हूँ, it's not really that good, it's not that up to the mark. वो हमेशा self-doubt रहता ही है कहीं ना कहीं. You may be able to reduce these feelings by talking with people close to you or a mental health professional. Right? Like, I'll give you a few examples. What am I doing here? I don't belong here. I'm a total fraud. Sooner or later, everyone's going to find out. Right? If you feel like that, so that is somewhat defined as an imposter and you are not alone. So what does it actually feel like? You might pressure yourself to work harder in order to keep others from recognizing your shortcomings or failures. Imposter feelings represent a conflict between your own self-perception and the way others perceive you. So it's mainly on the terms of doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. Now, the signs of imposter syndrome can help you understand this a little better. We have 8 in total. First is consistent negative self-talk. So you constantly talk to yourself in a negative manner. Everybody has their inner dialogue. Now you talk to people in a way that, okay, what will they think? What will they perceive it as? वैसे कहीं बात करना है. या लेकिन जब हम खुद से बात करते हैं, हमारा एक पॉजिटिव और एक नेगेटिव सेल्फ टॉक होता है. So consistent negative self-talk is one of the most impactful sign of imposter syndrome. Second is inability to internalize accomplishments. हम जो भी accomplishment है, जो भी हमने कुछ succeed किया है, even if it's a small accomplishment, we are unable to accept it. Third, obsessing over mistakes and failures. जो भी हमारे shortcomings थे, हम उस पर dwell कर जाते हैं. Right? That's what it feels like. Feelings of never being good enough. I am not good enough. I won't be able to perform that way. Hamesha, self-doubt again. Overwhelming anxiety about being found out as a fraud. Again, I'm using the word fraud a lot. It's just an expression to understand how imposter feels. Judging yourself to only the highest of standards. Right? Number 6. So you judge yourself. There's a high judgment involved. Before the public, before the audience judges you, you judge yourself pehle se hi. Again, it's a part of negative self-talk. Then there's inability to properly assess your competence and skills. You cannot really see yourself being competent enough. Competent means like good enough, right? If the last one is constant feelings of self-doubt. Again, we talked about self-doubt too much. So इन सारे साइंस को पढ़ के एक बात समझ आती है. It's related to self-esteem. That imposter syndrome, जो भी कोई feel कर रहा होता है, जो भी feel करता है कि they feel like an imposter, they do not have enough high self-esteem. और इसको overcome करने के बाद ही you can develop a certain sense of confidence, right? So we will learn in this at the end of the workshop how to overcome this. So far, are we good with the science? Did you understand? We'll also dig into the types and what it feels like with a few case examples. Great. Yeah, I can see the chat box. It makes us feel so anxious. That's right. Okay, I'm using Hindi in between for some people to understand. I'll use. Those are the two languages I know. Okay, let's dig in a little deeper. If you guys are taking down notes in your diaries, that's wonderful. I appreciate that. Characteristics, there are 3. Number 1 is intense feeling that others have an inflated perception of your abilities. So others feel that you are, good in your whatever you do, in your ability. But you do not feel that way about yourself. You feel कि नहीं अभी और अच्छा कर सकते हैं. I can do better than this. You feel that way. Second is you are convinced that you are a fraud and do not deserve. This is very important. Do not deserve the success you have achieved. This was very self-explanatory, right? So you are okay, this is what it is, and I do not deserve to have the success that I have, to have the name that I have. Third, and the last characteristic over here, proof of success is dismissed as luck, timing, or possibly a result of deceiving others. Right? So even as others praise your talents, you write off your successes to timing and good luck. You don't believe that you've earned them on your merits, and you fear that others will eventually realize the same thing. You feel, okay, this is not something I want. So if that's something you guys feel, please put a thumbs up so I know everybody's on the same page. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, I appreciate that. Now let's dig in a little deeper into the types of imposter syndrome. There are mainly 5 types, right? So number 1 is superhuman. Okay, so the superhuman or the superhero is where you link competence to your ability to succeed in every role you hold. For example, student, friend, employee, or parent. So, failing to successfully navigate the demands of these roles simply proves, in your opinion, inadequacy. That this is inadequate. Okay? So if I have to explain it further, for example, to succeed, you push yourself to the limit, expending as much energy as possible in every role. For example, still, even this maximum effort may not resolve your imposter feelings. You feel that, okay, I have to do more than this, I have to do more. तब शायद better feel होगा. You might think I should be able to do more. This should be easier, right? So that was superhuman, the number one type. Now coming to the natural genius. I hope superhuman was clear. If anyone relates to any of these types or feels like, okay, this is sounding very real or this does not sound like me at all, you can just put it in the chat box. Any questions you can put in the chat box will be answered at the end. Now, the natural genius says that you have spent your life picking up new skills with little effort and believe you should understand new material and processes right way. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah. I forgot to change the slides. So sorry about that. Yeah, so this was superhuman. Now we are coming to the natural genius. So it says that your belief that competent people can handle anything with little difficulty leads you to feel like a fraud when you have a hard time. So if something doesn't come easily to you or you fail to succeed on your first try, you might feel ashamed or embarrassed. That's what the natural genius type feels like. So people with this competence type believe they need to be a natural genius. As such, they judge their competence based ease and speed as opposed to their efforts. In other words, if they take a long time to master something, they feel shame. They feel embarrassed. Right? Is that something that you guys can relate to? Yeah, I can show the last slide. Here it is. Superhuman. I'll just read it again. Since people who experience this phenomenon are convinced they are phonies amongst real deal colleagues, they often push themselves to work harder and harder to measure up. So this is like a person trying so hard, being a superhuman, exceeding their boundaries to maintain whatever expectations they have in their mind. And the natural genius says, okay, you should have known this earlier. It shouldn't, they take a time longer to master something, they feel shame and embarrassed. I'm just gonna have a sip of water. All right. Are we good to go? Let's come to the third one. Now, the third one says the expert. Now, before you can consider your work a success, you want to learn everything there is to know on the topic. So, experts measure their competence based on what and how much they know or can do. Believing they will never know enough, they fear being exposed as inexperienced or unknowledgeable. So, what does it mean? You might spend so much time pursuing your quest for more information that you end up having to devote more time to your main task, right? So since you believe you should have all the answers, you might consider yourself a fraud, a failure, when you can't answer a question or encounter some knowledge you previously missed. Okay, so expert, as the name suggests, it's again very self-explanatory, a person who knows everything about the matter, about the thing, about the topic that they are discussing, right? Okay, let's move to the next. I hope this was clear. You guys can take notes of these. Okay, the fourth one is the perfectionist. Now, this is the most common one, and we always feel, okay, this feels like me, right? Perfectionist. I have to be perfect in this or I'll do nothing. So maybe 100 or 0. There is no midway. And then the task never gets completed. So perfectionists set excessively high goals, right, for themselves. When they fail to reach a goal, they experience major self doubt and worry about measuring up. So, your focus primarily on how you do things, often to the point where you demand perfection of yourself in every aspect of life. So, again, a reminder, imposter syndrome is something that you believe in yourself, right? It is your perception at the end of the day. The audience, the public, the crowd, they are not judging you. They are not telling you you are not good enough. This is all you. This is all in your mind. So that's why we are discussing the signs, characteristics and types in order to be more aware कि अगर हम ऐसे हैं तो हम किस टाइप पे फॉल करते हैं and how we can cope up with this. If we are like this, where do we fall? In order to be self-aware, in order to solve a problem, we need to be first self-aware. So perfectionists, I repeat again, they focus on how to do the things to the level that they have they demand a perfection of themselves in every aspect of life. Well, yet since perfection isn't always a realistic goal, you can't meet these standards, right? Instead of acknowledging the hard work you have put in after completing a task, you might criticize yourself for small mistakes and feel ashamed of your failure. Yeah, I quote the failure over here. You might even avoid trying new things if you believe you can't do them perfectly the first time. Obviously, if you think that, okay, I can't do this, there's a fear of failure. Why is the fear present over there? It is because of the imposter syndrome, the perfectionist in the person that says, agar main ye perfect nahi kar sakti, if I can't do this perfectly, then I'm not going to be doing this at all. Right? Okay. I hope this was clear. Can I get a thumbs up, everyone? Okay, great. Loving it. Now moving to the last type over here, the soloist. Now, as the name suggests, rugged individualist, soloist. So you believe you should be able to handle everything solo. If you can't achieve success independently, you consider yourself unworthy. Jo sab karna hai, main nahi karna. Only I am going to do this. Then only I am perceived as I perceive this as success. Otherwise, it's a failure. So sufferers who feel as though asking for help reveals their phoniness are what are called soloists. It's okay to be independent, but not to the extent that you refuse assistance so that you can prove your worth. Right? Again, it's in the mind of the imposter that this is what it should look like. It is the last type of the imposter syndrome. For example, asking someone for help or accepting support, right, when it's offered, doesn't just mean you are failing your own high standards. It also means admitting your inadequacies and showing yourself as a failure. So it is associated. The help, assistance is associated with the term failure in the soloist mind. Right? Again, I repeat it. So if you cannot do the work independently, you consider yourself unworthy. If I can't do this alone, then I can't do this at all. Again, it limits your ability to perform the action because of this perception in your mind that's going on. Right? I'll just spend a minute on this slide. Okay, have my sip of water. Okay, so I hope that was clear and that was interesting to know. I hope you guys have associated yourself with at least one of the type. If not, a little bit mix of each type. Like हाँ ऐसा भी होता है थोड़ा बहुत कभी कभी ऐसा भी हो जाता है. It depends on the scenario. So yeah, I know it feels like a mix of all. Astha. Anyone who feels exactly like one type, can you put in the chat box? ऐसा anyone can feel that. Umeza is saying last one, soloist. Yeah, most of them. Pratik say perfectionist, Priyanka perfectionist, Shafran expert. Okay. Prapti, Aditi expert, right? So expert, soloist, perfectionist are the common types I can see. Yeah, to be honest, it feels like that. It does feel like that. We understand. And this is very important to note, right? Because it's all in your mind. So when you know that, okay, this is what I have, this is what I am like, then you also know, okay, isko ab cope kaise karna hai, how to get over this. Now, next time you will have a thought of, from the perfectionist mindset, you'll be like, okay, this is coming because of that reason, and thereby I'm not going to be thinking. So being self-aware and psychoeducating yourself is very, very important. Okay, we'll talk about the prevalence later, Samanth. It's actually quite common. It's very, very common. And you are not alone in this. So there's something called as a tendency, and there's something called as the major type. So people who feel that, okay, I am this particular thing very strongly, they have a word for it. But others who feel a little bit like that, है ना, थोड़े symptoms match करते हैं, but not all. The criteria matches a little bit, but not entirely. Then it feels like, okay, I have a tendency for this. And a lot of people have that. It's very, very common. Okay. Now, coming to the who, how, and why, right? So let's understand that who can have imposter syndrome. Absolutely anyone can have imposter syndrome, right? Nearly 75% of working class women experience imposter syndrome. Most people experience it at some point in their life. So I hope this was pretty clear. It is very common to have imposter syndrome, and anyone can have it. We'll study about the causes. Why? While one cannot possibly pinpoint one particular reason for the development of imposter syndrome, there are several factors that may cause an individual to experience this, right? As you can see in the picture also, this lady is in front of a mirror, and here is a face of a joker. So she sees herself as a not so capable lady. She sees herself not being so worthy of the accomplishments, of the whatever desires she might have. So let's study the factors. Why does it happen, and who can get affected to this? So family dynamics, cultural expectations, social anxiety, personality traits, new job, academic opportunities are just a few of the causes. To be honest, I'll explain one thing to you. There's something called as nature. There's something called as nurture. So nature says whatever genetics, whatever dispository factors, right? Whatever family history you might have, genes, DNA mix and everything. So whatever those things are, they are part of nature. That's where you come from. And nurture is the upbringing, is your environment, is your surrounding. So whatever cultural expectations, whatever society expectations are there, and how you develop as a person in those upbringing and with the set of genes that you have, this entirely kind of incorporates your being. So there is no particular cause as to why this happens, but a lot of people experience this, and these are the very few causes, that major causes why it can happen. Now let's dig deeper and study about how does it affect us. This is the most important thing. Now personal relationships is in red, as you can see, and mental health impact is in blue. These are the prominent dark colors. Do you know why? Because this gets affected the most, and this is something that you cannot control. This is where your emotions play more part than your um, anything else. So self-sabotage, again, it should have been a little darker. So personal relationships, your work performance, mental health impact, job satisfaction, burnout, because you keep working to the level that you are satisfied, and that creates a state of mental exhaustion or burnout. Self-sabotage, a part of negative self-talk. You kind of punish yourself for not being so good. Feeling embarrassed, feeling ashamed is a part of self-sabotaging yourself in a certain way. Skewed self-perception, of course, as we talked, lady in the mirror, that's what happens to people who see themselves as imposters. So your personal relationships are getting highly affected. You have a mental health impact. There is work performance. The work might not be, so up to the mark. You feel a certain way. You step down because of a lot of reasons. Boundaries are not met at the workplace, which causes further trouble. So these are a number of pointers as to how imposter syndrome can affect us. I'm just gonna leave this slide here for a minute in case you're noting down. This is very important. This also creates a very low self-efficacy level, like very low self-esteem, right? So people who work on their self-esteem and they work on their self-compassion, on their inner self a lot, then they can just, overcome these feelings and these traits. Yes, can you explain the last 2 points again? Right. Self-sabotage. So self-sabotage means when you are kind of, if I have to explain it with an example, I come to the work from 9 to 5, I'm at work, right? I travel to this place called Gurgaon and I'm working 9 to 5. But I am like working there for more than my working hours, right? I'm working there for 4 hours more because I feel this is what, I should be doing. I'm not performing so up to the mark. So I'm in a way self-sabotaging myself. I am punishing myself. And if I am not spending, for example, continuing the example, if I'm not spending the extra 4 hours, then I feel okay. This was not very right of me, and I feel so embarrassed. I'm such a bad person. How can I do this? So I am in a way continuing my negative self-talk over there, which is not healthy, right? It has a mental health impact. It is me who's punishing myself for the thing that I was not even supposed to be doing at the first place, if that makes sense. Okay. Skewed self-perception. Self-perception is anything that you hold about yourself. It is your perception. It is your own mirror, how you see yourself. Skewed means it is kind of broken, distorted, right? So yeah, that's what it means. Thank you for asking questions. I hope you guys are understanding and you have noted down the pointers. Let me move to the next slide. Now here is a case study. Okay guys, be active. Now this is where you might have to perform. So Anna, 30 years old female, joined as a new joinee in the MNC. It's very closely related to the example I just gave. She has 5 years of experience in corporate. It's her first time in working with MNC. She expresses feeling nervous, right? Overwhelmed by the work, colleagues around her. She starts feeling like a fraud because she thinks she doesn't deserve this job. She's cheating the company, right? She's not performing up to the level. Self-doubt takes a toll on her, and she's experiencing panic attacks in the office environment now. Right? This is the lady Anna, right? I hope you guys understood the case study. I'll leave it here for a minute for you to read. Had my sip of water. Okay, read everybody? I hope this was kind of relating or made it easier to understand. So majorly work examples are very easy to give because they can be seen out in the open, right? And something that a person is feeling on the inside, for example, the negative self-talk is there. I am not good enough. I am not worthy. I do not deserve this. Those things people do not really see it out in the open because there is always a fear of expressing. There's always a fear of feeling less in front of the person because you feel so less in yourself already. You do not want to talk about it on the outside, right? If that makes sense. So the fraud term has been used a lot of time. Do not deserve, self-doubt, low self-confidence are closely related to imposter syndrome. Now let's dig on to the few case examples. So famous people who suffered from imposter syndrome. Anyone you know already? Can you guys put in the chat box? The first here is Tom Hanks, the American actor and filmmaker, says no matter, and there's a quote, no matter what we've done, there comes a point where you think, how did I get there? When are they going to discover that I am in fact a fraud and take everything away from me? Sounds relatable? Relate much? Emojis, thumbs up, thumbs down, right? Yeah, so Hollywood American actor and filmmaker says that you feel like, what if they find out? What if they recognize? Michelle Obama, imposter syndrome is so tough. For so long, women and girls have been told, we don't belong in the classroom, boardroom, or any room where big decisions are made. So when we do manage to get into the room, we are still second guessing ourselves, unsure if we really deserve our seat at the table. Amazing. Michelle Obama, such a strong lady, says that imposter, the feeling of imposter syndrome, it feels like it's not us. We do not deserve it because so far the culture, the society has, put in the head, they have fed that you do not belong where big decisions are being made. So you are always second guessing yourselves. Yeah, totally relatable. This is one of my favorites. Now coming to the third, Emma Watson, right? Beautiful actor. Now when I receive recognition for my acting, I feel incredibly uncomfortable. I tend to turn it on myself. I feel like an imposter. Yep, that's correct. If you constantly feel this, is it still imposter syndrome or something else? I think an imposter syndrome is again pretty serious. So if you feel constantly like this, you might have developed low self-esteem, and that could be something else. But for that, you have to talk to your mental health professional in order to get to the main factor, what it really is. You need to get a big picture, right? Now the last one over here, Lady Gaga. I still sometimes feel like a loser kid in high school, and I just have to pick myself up and tell myself that I'm a superstar every morning so that I can get through this day and be for my fans what they need me for me to be. Right? Right. Okay. Now coming to the main pointer over here, how to cope. It's such a big question. Now before coming to the pointers for this, I would like you to tell me a little bit of coping mechanisms, what you use. So as individuals, as people who relate to this, what do you do in order to cope with this feeling of self-doubt and inability? Yeah, positive self-talk, that's correct. Telling yourself again and again that you can do this, it's okay. Eat my favorite food, yeah, that's a coping mechanism. Mind and body practices, evidence of success, positive affirmation, journaling. Distract your mind, I tell myself, this is in my head and I can. Wow, amazing. Being more self-aware, yes. Back at the hard work and try to validate myself. Meditation, try meditating, tell yourself, I can do it. Right? Amazing. Confide in close friends, family. Yes, it's very important to talk about this. Any questions, Gunjan, please put in the chat box. We'll be shortly moving to how we can cope with this. Try penning my thoughts on a piece of paper. Thinking of all the positives I've done. Very good, very good. Gratitude journaling is amazing. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, give yourself a pep talk. Right. Okay. Now the number one here is, and you can note these down, challenge the negative thoughts. So whatever thoughts that you are having, as you guys mentioned on the chat as well, you give yourself a little pep talk and you feel, okay, I need to be there for myself. I need to remind myself again, this is not what it is, and it's just a negative thought. So how you can challenge your negative thought? If I'm giving you an example, if I'm having a thought, I am not good enough as a student. I'm a student in class 12th and my boards are coming up and I feel like I don't think I can do this, right? There's a negative thought. I don't think I can do this. I do not have the capability. So then I challenge myself with a technique called Socratic questioning, right? I put questions against myself. I can be using the technique called Socratic questioning. I can use, okay, you think you can't do this? You can't clear the boards? Why do you think this? Are people your age clearing the boards? Are people your age studying? Or are they thinking on, okay, what will happen if I don't clear? What will happen if I fail? What will happen if I miss a question? Second Socratic question could be, is it possible for me to be nervous right now? Am I being anxious right now? Maybe that's why I'm feeling this. This is not really who I am, right? It's just a phase, a temporary thing that will pass on. Okay, thought Socratic questioning. Is it possible to not focus on the things that can happen, and is it possible for me to focus on the thing that is right now, being in the present moment, being mindful of the situation, trying to note down pointers. If I'm trying to write down any pointers, I can use a little bit colors. So when you change your thinking from problem focused to solution focused, the game entirely changes. You are looking not for negative thoughts, you're not looking for the problem. Now you're looking for the solutions over there. What are the things that I can do in order to overcome this? This is a major pointer over here, challenging your negative thoughts. And it is very important for us to constantly do this. You know why? Because there is a research, okay, that says people, individuals, humans, they focus on the negative things very easily. अगर हम कोई भी चीज करते हैं, if we talk to someone, if we listen to someone, we focus on the negative things very quickly, very easily. Our mind, our brain is developed in a certain manner. But in order to focus on the positive things, we have to literally put an effort, right? We have to put an effort to focus कि अच्छा ये भी अच्छा है. ऐसा नहीं है that I'm all bad. I have some good parts also. You have to, in order to do that more, you have to train your mind. You have to do the positive journal. You have to be grateful. Practice gratitude journaling. Right? I hope this was something that you understood. Yeah. Okay. Shri OC gives a heart. I love a heart. Gunjan, can you put the question or your thought in the chat box so that we don't break the flow of the workshop? Okay, thank you. Now, next is identify your strengths. Now, again, coming back to the research, you focus on the negative things much faster than you focus on the positive things. So, in order to focus yourself back on the things that you are actually good at, you have to identify your strengths. And how will you do that? In the middle of the board exam, in the middle of the preparation, you are trying to study, and you're constantly overthinking, ruminating about the thoughts that, okay, what if the exam is very tough, and what if I'm not, I forget those answers, and what if I'm not able to do that? Then you have to focus, have to identify whatever strengths you have at that point. That was a very concrete example. So whatever strengths you have, I would also encourage all of you to write down your strengths in the chat box or in your notebooks. What all strengths do you think you have? This is a workshop for self-awareness, right? So what strengths do you think? For example, I think I am a good listener. Yeah, Richa says empathy. Honest, kindness. Amazing, yes. So these are beautiful strengths that people often fail to look at. Good at thinking positive, resilient, amazing. Talking to loved ones, yes. So mothers usually talk to the relatives, on a lot more than the fathers do. I mean, at least that's what I've seen in major homes. And this feels like, okay, kar kya rahe ho the entire day? What are you doing? Nothing. No, but that is amazing. That is an amazing skill. Not everybody has that. To care for others. Yes, optimistic. Can do anything. I set my mind to. Amazing. Thank you everyone. That's very lovely. Okay. Refrain your compassion. That is the next one. So again, refrain your compassion. So what does compassion mean, first of all? Self-compassion or just compassion in general. What does it mean? If someone says, I am compassionate towards myself, what would that mean? Someone also listed it down in the chat box. Let me see. Kindness and, empathy. Yeah. So that's what it means. Being kind and being empathetic towards yourself. Understanding. Empathy, for those who don't know, is when you put your shoes into someone else's, when you put your feet into someone else's shoes. So when you're trying to understand others' perspective from their scenario, from their eyes, from their lens, then you are being empathetic. Fellow feeling, right? Yes. So being kind and understanding towards ourselves. When we suffer, we fail, and we have, all those negative thoughts that we might be feeling that, okay, we are not capable enough, we are inadequate, rather than ignoring our pain or, being a self-critic. And how many of you would agree, by a show of hands, that we as individuals are the biggest self-critic of ourselves, are the biggest critic? Yes. See, amazing. This is what happens, right? We think जो भी दुनिया में बुरा है ना, हम ही है. हम ये नहीं कर पाएंगे, हम वो नहीं कर पाएंगे, we can't do this, we can't, perform up to the level. That's what we think. So when you say refrain your compassion, we are saying be self-compassionate. Be more kind towards yourself. Give yourself the benefit of doubt. ठीक है, अभी नहीं हुआ ना, बाद में हो जाएगा. It's okay. You can do this. It's not like you can't do this. You can, but you're taking a little bit longer, and there are steps to follow. कोई बात नहीं. We'll get through this. Okay, Ayush Verma is sending a harsh. Okay. Shriyosi. Wow, so much love from you guys. Okay. The next one is reframe your mistakes. So I am putting a thing in the chat box. See if you guys relate to this. It's called rate your behavior, not yourself. Okay, I hope. See, rate your behavior and not yourself. So reframe your mistakes. In case I fail in a project that my mother-in-law asked me to do. Now, we all take parents like so lightly, but थोड़े दूर extended parents हो, so we feel okay, हमको कुछ करके दिखाना है. And the imposter syndrome plays a big role over there. You did a mistake, you made a mistake in doing a certain project, and you feel, okay, I can't do this thing, I am such a failure. Oh my God, what will she think of me? Now what to do? How can I do this mistake? I was so particular. So in that particular scenario, you have to rate your behavior and not yourself. You do not have to label yourself as being, unworthy, as a failure, or not good enough. You do not have to rate yourself. That you can't do this. Instead, rate the behavior, reframe the mistake, acknowledge it first of all. Okay, I made a mistake. I'm a human. I can make mistakes. It's okay. But it's important to also understand ये mistake कहाँ हुई है, where did this come from. Instead of dwelling onto you are not capable, you have to dig onto the matter that, okay, this mistake needed that attention of mine. This mistake needed a little more, research work, and then some action-based work. I hope this is making sense. I'm using a little bit of examples. I hope you're understanding. So adapting a growth mindset, acknowledging the mistake. Thank you so much. Lovely audience. Thank you. Communication with the mistake. What does it mean to communicate? It means you have to not communicate in a negative manner, but in a sort that, acha, ye galti hui hai. Did I do that mistake? Why did I do that? Okay, I understand. So next time I'll take care. Although this time it happened, I'm really sorry. Again, being kind, being empathetic, that sorts everything. And these are a very important list of soft skills that you must have towards yourself also. Growth mindset. Everybody, please read about growth mindset again after this workshop ends as well. It is very important to constantly work on yourself, constantly build your self-esteem, build your inner self in order to not think of yourself as a failure. Okay. Now, moving on to the next one, let go of your inner perfectionist. Now, as we studied like above, perfectionist, what do? They think I have to be perfect in this thing. I have to be 100 or a 0. या तो मैं all पे जाऊंगा या तो मैं nothing पे जाऊंगा. So either I'm doing this very nicely or I'm not doing this at all. So you have to let go of your inner perfectionist in that manner. So at least you take the first step towards moving forward, right? Towards whatever the task you have thought in your mind, you want to accomplish that. But if the perfectionist is there, you might feel, I don't think I can do this. I'm not sure, maybe I don't have the clarity right now, maybe later. So that thing goes on to, that goes on relation, and your inner perfectionist doesn't really allow you to take the step forward, which is important for you to do so. Right? Okay. Be kind to yourself is the next one. Now, kind is a very easy word to say, isn't it? Like love. It's a 4-letter word. And it's very easy. Be kind to yourself. But we don't actually know what it means to be kind, to be empathetic towards ourselves. It is a very understated word, I feel. That it feels like, okay, I have to be kind to myself, but I'm also going to be thinking a lot of other things at the same time. I hope that makes sense. I'll explain it again. Okay, I'm kind to myself. I am compassionate towards myself. Yes, I am. But I also think I need to, do the household chores. And I also think I need to, keep up with the level of my other competitors. I have to do this because this is important. I have to do this because this I like. But I'm not able to do that entirely. So I feel, okay. So this is what? This is an internal dialogue that the people generally think in their minds. And this inner dialogue, it's always on the inside. And the overthinking part is so fast. एक thought से दूसरा, दूसरे से तीसरा, right? From one thought to another. The dots are connected too well that we fail to understand what is really happening to us. Okay. Now, as we are low on time, I am going a little bit faster. Strategies to cope with self-doubt. Try not to compare yourself to others. Now, these are just some strategies. I'm going to read it out for you. Everyone's journey and ideas of success are different. What we can control and focus on is our own path, and where we want to take it, regardless of where other people are at or what they have done. So there should not be comparisons. Of course, a healthy competition is fine. It motivates you, it pushes you, but the comparison part kind of takes the feel out of it. And you feel, okay, I don't think I can compete with that. Let me just not do it at all. So try not to compare yourself to others. Gratitude journaling. I emphasize on this point with so much energy, and I would love for everyone to practice gratitude in their life, in their daily life, because it helps to focus on the parts that you have, that you already have and are privileged to have that. For example, family, some sort of relations that are close to you, your pet, some plants, anything, a cup of coffee. रोज अच्छी नहीं बनती पर आज बहुत अच्छी बनी कॉफी. आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल फॉर दैट. सो समथिंग लाइक दैट व्हेन यू प्रैक्टिस. Journaling is nothing but writing. So gratitude you can practice verbally and you can write it as well. What are the benefits? It reduces stress. When you focus on the positive, तो stress होगा? नहीं होगा. So it will also improve your self-esteem. It will make you feel कि हाँ, I have this. मेरे पास है, सब कुछ है. Spend time with supportive people. When you're feeling self-doubt, surround yourself with these people, the supportive ones. They can remind you of how talented and resilient you are during times when you are not feeling that way about yourself. Okay, supportive community is very much needed, and that community is also can also be sought in workshops, in psychological therapeutic companies, and seek therapy whenever you want. So therapy is nothing but you talking to a mental health professional about whatever concerns that are bothering you. Even if you have no concerns, even if you just want to talk to a mental health professional, why is it recommended? Because that professional is trained in a certain manner, right? It is a service that he or she is providing. And what is the service? It is a space where you can talk about whatever comes to your mind in a confidential manner. Confidential meaning whatever you tell to the professional, he or she will not, or them will not, let it out. It is their duty. It is the ethics they follow, and it is entirely confidential. What other benefits are there? Non-judgmental, right? They come from a non-judgmental attitude. Why do they come from a non-judgmental attitude? Why are they not judging you? Because they are there to help you. They are there to kind of understand whatever thought patterns, whatever behavioral patterns you might already be having, and how we can work on those further. That's what they are there for. So it is recommended not just for people who are, in severe disturbance, but also to the layman people who would want to talk to a professional. And it's highly recommended. So it may help to see a mental health professional to overcome self-doubt if these feelings persist to the point that makes it difficult for you to function in everyday life. Therapy can help us feel, understand, and give us tools to alleviate feelings of doubt. And it also works on the positive psychology, helping you build self-esteem, helping you build self-compassion, changing your inner dialogue by doing a list of activities, by doing certain worksheets, right? So yeah, that's what it consists of. Thank you so much everyone for attending this workshop. That brings us to the end. I'm sorry I've exceeded 2 minutes over. I hope this was a helpful presentation and workshop. So many hearts. Wow, lovely audience. Okay. Amazing. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay, I'll take questions now for 5 minutes. Someone raised the hand. Irene, right? I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah, you are. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, your session was really good. It was really effective. I just wanted to ask you that, what if, I have a thing is that, whenever I think of a situation, like the negative, like for example, situation is going to happen. So what if I think the opposite of it, then the situation that the positive thing will come. But then instead of me thinking directly, if something is going to happen, and if I think that is going to happen in my head, if I imagine and everything, then, that situation does not happen. it does not come true. But at the same time, like if I think that is not gonna happen in my head, I imagine and everything, then it happens. It happens every time. At first, I thought it was just my mind. I tried distracting my mind also, but then every single time, whenever I think negative about the situation, it always comes true. So why is that?
So whenever you think negatively about a situation, it comes true, and whenever you think nothing at all, just positive things come along. Is that what you say?
No, whenever I think like positive about it, like for example, like I'm going to study or I'm going to like go to a place, and then I'm like, okay, so I'll after some time I'll go to that place, so I'm gonna go study. But that doesn't happen. Like for example, if it's a major big thing, also if I think about it, like something or the other happens and it doesn't happen. But at the same time, like if I think like negative about it, like if not going about it, then I just go or like not happening about it. Like if I think like that is